How's it going, class? Today we're talking about Barbara Coloroso. Her classroom management plan is interdiscipline. It's all about adults should believe that children and adolescents are worth the effort and time required to teach them responsible behavior. I chose this one because out of the founding fathers that we looked at so far, I think that I like Gordon the most, but I think I like Barbara a little bit better because she believes that it's the teacher's responsibility to teach, self-discipline, where Gordon, he believed it was all on the student. Barbara kind of takes more responsibility in teaching that and instilling that in the students. Her model is built off of 3 philosophical beliefs. Number 1, kids are worth it. So by this, she's saying that students don't have to earn our attention or earn our affection or gratitude towards them, that we should treat them like adults, really, that they're worth it, and that all of the time that we spend in instilling this self-discipline will help them grow in their academics and in their self. Number 2, she says, I will not treat a child in a way I myself would not want to be treated. So this is kind of self-explanatory. You don't want to put any kids on the spot, embarrass any kids in front of your whole class. Number 3, if it works and leaves a child's and my own dignity intact, do it. So she's all about saving the face of her students and building their self-worth in the classroom. She believes that that's a gateway to higher level learning. The teacher's roles. The teacher wants to treat others with respect and avoid humiliation, sarcasm, and ridicule. The teacher is supposed to demonstrate compassion when the student misbehaves, so not losing your cool, staying calm, collected, believe in and willing to teach self-discipline rather than discipline, so not quick to snap the ruler, but look at the situation, look at the student, think about what we can do to solve the problem, and then ultimately take ownership for that problem. Believe in real-world consequences of discipline rather than adult intervention, and by this she means the same thing, that as an adult you don't have to snap that ruler all the time, but real-world consequences, if you teach that to kids, they'll realize that their actions have reactions, and they have to be willing to accept those when they make their decisions. The last point of a teacher's role, teachers should avoid autocratic behaviors, harshness, and physical punishments. So that's kind of just a summary of everything above. You don't want a teacher that's always snapping that ruler, like I keep saying. And then she actually describes 3 different types of teachers. The first one's the brick wall teacher. That's like the all-powerful, all-knowing. It's my way or the highway. There's no gray areas. Students do exactly as they're told, and as this might be effective, you might instill that fear in your students. Ultimately, they're not going to enjoy your class. They're not going to like learning. They're not going to be self-motivated into learning more. Then you got the jellyfish teacher, who's really wishy-washy. It says no firm parts at all in the jellyfish, so anything goes. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of talk, a lot of extra stuff going on in that classroom. And then there's the backbone teacher, which she says that we should strive for as teachers. They have enough support and structure for students to find themselves and then grow in their self-worth, self-learning, teaches natural and responsible consequences rather than the brick wall teacher who's just punishing her kids for every little thing. And the backbone teacher allows for some freedom, but also enough structure to have students realize that there are consequences for their actions. So we're going to show a couple examples, or just one example for each teacher.
Take a seat. Please take a seat. Please take a seat. Oh, please, class, take a seat. Take a seat, class. Oh my gosh. Please take a seat. Get over here and sit in your seats, okay? You listen to me when I'm teaching, alright? Gee whiz. This class is so frustrating. I have some freedom this year, but
you will have some expectations and responsibilities of your own. So when we come into the class, you're going to be asked to take a seat, get your stuff out, be ready to learn, okay? So the first day's today. Go ahead and take your seat. Sit. Thank you. Very respectable, Cash. Very, very respectable. Alright, we just looked at the three categories of teachers: the brick wall, the jellyfish, and the backbone teacher. The backbone's what we wanted. So now we're going to look at some discipline and behavior. Barbara says that students accept ownership of the problems they've created. We've already mentioned that earlier. That's the whole principle of interdiscipline. She does say that discipline is not synonymous with punishment, so those two aren't the same. Punishment makes the teacher accept responsibility, and by that she's saying that if the teacher is constantly punishing for different actions in the classroom, then she's accepting responsibility for those misactions. But discipline is a consequence of misbehavior, so it's different. She also says with that, you can't have rewards in the classroom. She doesn't believe in rewards because you can't buy good behavior. You either have good behavior with interdiscipline or you don't. If you're bribing students, that's just another manipulation that goes along with punishment. She doesn't believe in manipulating her students. And the metaphor that I created for my introverted assignment was kind of that our students aren't lab rats. So no, we're not going to manipulate them into behaving the way that we seem pleasable. We're going to let our students have a self-worth, a self-identity, and we're going to have behaviors that are acceptable in the classroom that don't have consequences, that aren't misbehaving and disrupting the classroom. Her 4 steps for discipline, not punishment but discipline: show students what they should have done, give as much ownership of problem as they can handle, give options to solve the problem, and then leave their dignity intact. So we're not putting them on blast, we're not calling them out in front of the whole classroom. So we're going to take a look at what this 4-step process would look like with our student. Listen, last time we came to the cafeteria, you guys made a huge mess. What you should have done is wait for me to tell everyone that they can be seated and eat your food and throw it away, okay? So you guys messed up there, but that's okay. We can fix that, right? If you guys are capable of eating your food and not making a mess, and you guys are capable of that, right? Okay, well, I trust you. This time, we're going to eat cleanly, not make a mess, respect. That's all it takes, right? Okay, well, let's see it. See some good self-discipline, okay? Good cafeteria food, huh? Leave it. We're not eating yet. Annie? Leave it. We're not eating yet. Okay, you guys can eat. Very good. Good self-discipline. The 4 steps of discipline with the dogs. Now we're going to talk about the 3 R's of discipline. And the first one is restitution, which is fixing what the student, fixing what they did. If there's any physical damage or personal damage, if there's any even emotional damage that the student has caused, we're going to fix those right away. That's restitution. That's the first step. The next one is resolution, and that's determining a way that that behavior will not happen again. So we're going to move past that and build on from that, all in the resolution. And then next and last, we have reconciliation. That's healing with offender, honoring the restitution plan, and making a commitment to live up to that resolution. So that's all the commitment and honor is in reconciliation. I'm not going to do it again. We came up with a plan. I'm going to stick to it. We're going to move past that, and I'm going to build myself up from learning from that. It's a learning experience. All right. You pooped in the house again, Cash. We can't be having that. So you're going to have to go clean that up. Go get the carpet cleaner. Clean that poop up. Take it outside, okay? Alright, how can we fix that for the next time? You can go sit by the door and wait to go outside? Good, good. That's a good resolution right there, okay? And you're committed to fixing that? You're not going to poop inside anymore? Okay, good. Well, I really appreciate it. That shows a lot of self-discipline. And then, of course, a lot of teachers would say, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but what about the students that's not going to work with? And she does acknowledge that. She said that if it doesn't work, use assertive confrontation. And by this, you're not losing your temper, you're losing your cool. You're just approaching it assertive. This is how it is. You got to do it. If not, there's some other conflict resolution. She has a RSVP approach for consequences. So a reasonable, simple, valuable, and practical consequence. And then some examples that were in the book. If a student has not been doing their work in class, they're going to have to stay after school and they're going to have to complete that assignment. But in doing so, you don't want them to miss the bus and then have to walk home 8 miles. That's not practical, and would cause harsh feelings towards you as the teacher from the student. You're not going to have a good student-teacher relationship. But a more practical solution would be coming in every day for 15 minutes until the late bus leaves. So then you can eventually get that assignment done and learn from that and get your work done in class so you don't have to stay any longer. So that's her views on discipline. Doesn't like punishment, doesn't like reward. It's all about discipline and the reactions of your actions in the classroom. And then lastly, she recognized bullies and victims. It was kind of a short segment in the book, but she said that it's important for students to have a strong sense of self when confronting bullies, to be confident in themselves, to have a lot of self-worth. And I think that her whole model really grows that in students. It really harvests that in students. And then she also thinks it's important for each student in her class to have at least one good friend, if not a whole good group of friends that fit them. And then lastly, she confronts bullying right when it starts. She's willing to get parents involved, anyone involved, any party involved, but they're going to face the bullying head on and get that solved to get the classroom safe again, a safe learning environment. So that's pretty much the gist of everything that Barbara Coloroso had. Hope you enjoyed.
Got it bad, I'm not the teacher.